Hello and welcome. My name is Gwen Gringheis. I'm the Assistant Registrar, Recruitment and International at the John H. Daniels Faculty of Architecture, Landscape, and Design. And I'm so glad that you've joined us to learn a little bit more about awards and financial aid. The presentation today will be by Bianca Naviali, who will join us in a moment. I realize that if you are joining us virtually, we may not all be in the same place. And so I do want to take a moment to pause and reflect on the lands where the University of Toronto operates. And so we wish to acknowledge this land on which the University of Toronto operates. For thousands of years, it has been the traditional land of the Huron-Wendat, the Seneca, and the Mississaugas of the Credit. Today, this meeting place is still the home to many Indigenous peoples from across Turtle Island, and we are very grateful to have the opportunity to work on this land. So a few of the different things that we will cover today in today's presentation is talking a little bit about budgeting and some of the different opportunities that you might have for doing so, scholarships and awards, and then finally talking a little bit about financial aid and counseling and advising that is available to students who are studying at Daniels and at the University of Toronto. And so I'm going to pass it over to my colleague, Bianca.
Hello, everybody. So my name is Bianca Novielli. I'm the Associate Registrar of Financial Aid and Awards. So as Gwen mentioned, we're just going to be talking about the different financial options for you while you're here at Daniels. So the most important thing I usually will start off with for students is talking about budgeting. It's a very important planning tool. We do have a budgeting calculator for students to use. It is available online through our website. So if you have a chance, we strongly recommend checking that out, and it will really help you as you move throughout your program, just to have a strong budget, a realistic budget, reviewing your expenses, your resources, monitoring them throughout the months and the years, and just keeping an accurate file of all your expenses. And of course, financial advising is available to all students through our office. So if you ever need any help with budgeting, we are here to support you. So it's also recommended that students explore all possible sources of funding. We do have a list here. So a few examples would be, of course, family support, if you have any savings or investments or RESPs. There's also government student loans and grants. There's also awards and scholarships through the government, also through U of T, university-wide, and Daniels specific. There are also employment opportunities or teaching assistantships, and students also have the option of exploring either like a bank loan or a student line of credit, and also external scholarships, so outside of the University of Toronto. So it's really recommended that students explore and utilize all possible sources of funding. So if you have a registered education savings plan, um, typically you need to get verification from the school so that they know that you are registered, and that way the funds can be released to you. So after you've registered, you can request a confirmation of registration from the School of Graduate Studies. And you would also need to provide your fee invoice from your Acorn account. Or you can submit your RESP form to us directly at registrar@daniels.utoronto.ca for completion. Just keep in mind that forms can only be completed after you are enrolled in your courses and officially registered. And you'll want to make sure that all relevant portions of the form are completed. And don't forget your student number. That's a very important identifying number. And once course enrollment begins, we can review your form and sign it for you so that you can return it back to your bank and have the funds released. So another source of funding that many students will apply for during their studies, it's government student loans and grants. So talking about Ontario residents specifically, there's OSAP. So this is open to students who are Canadian citizens or permanent residents and Ontario residents. They can apply for OSAP, and this includes new permanent residents arriving in Toronto this fall. Um, Canadian citizens and permanent residents and residents of other provinces, you'll have to check with your provincial government student financial assistance agency because each province has their own student loan funding program. So if you are a resident of another province, you would be applying for student government loans through that province. For students who are U.S. citizens and permanent residents of the U.S., you can apply for U.S. direct loans. The University of Toronto is authorized to administer this loan program for U.S. citizens, and we have a lot of information on our website about that. And for students who are dual U.S. and Canadian citizens, you can apply to both OSAP and US direct loans. But just keep in mind that you cannot receive both at the same time. So if you are applying for both, you can see both assessments, and then from there you can decide which funding you want to accept from either loan program. Students will typically select the loan program that offers them more funding because that'll be more support for them. But again, just keep in mind that you cannot accept both at the same time. And we just have a few links here to various pages on our website where you can find more detailed information about government student loans, including OSAP and other provinces. And we also have Daniel specific information about applying for OSAP. And there's also more detailed information, as I mentioned earlier, about applying for US direct loans at the University of Toronto. Something else really important to note is that government student loans are interest-free while you are enrolled in full-time studies. So while you're in your program for the fall semester, for the winter semester, even if you're enrolled for the summer semester, your loans will remain interest-free. And the government will know that you are enrolled either because you have applied for funding and we've confirmed your enrollment, or if you have applied for funding in a previous academic year and now you're back for the next year and you decide not to apply for government student loans, you can apply for something called interest-free status, which is just your way of informing them that you are enrolled full-time. That way, they're not charging any interest or asking you to start repaying your loans. Another important piece of information I want to share is that students receiving government student loans and grants are eligible to request a tuition fee deferral, and you can also apply for Daniel's graduate grant funding. So requesting a tuition fee deferral means that you're able to register, you're able to have your status change from invited to registered without making a payment because you've applied for government student loans and you're waiting for the funds to come in. And typically the funds will not be dispersed until you are officially registered in the program. So this deferral option allows you to get registered without making your payment upfront. And then once your student loan funding comes in, that's when you would make your payment. And then for the Daniels Graduate Grant, that is need-based funding offered by the Daniels faculty for graduate students. And students are able to apply for that on a yearly basis. But it is expected that students are utilizing other resources first, such as government student loans and grants, before applying for Daniels Graduate Grant funding. Okay, so there are financial need and merit-based scholarships available. Some applications are required and the criteria varies. So a couple of awards that I want to highlight for you. First is the Canada Graduate Research Scholarship for the master's program, or the CGRSM. So this award is valued at $27,000 for 1 year or over 3 consecutive terms. So the deadline coming up is December 1st, 2025. And this deadline is for students who will then be coming in 2026-27. The application is always a year in advance. So it's really important to keep in mind those deadlines. Another really popular scholarship program that we encourage students to apply for is the Ontario Graduate Scholarship. This scholarship is valued at $15,000 over 3 consecutive terms. And this one is open to international students and domestic students. There are separate deadlines. They're not available quite yet. But when those have been confirmed, we do email all students to inform them that the application is opened. And of course, we include the deadline information there. And another really great place to check out the university's list of awards is through Award Explorer. You're able to filter on that website for Daniel specific awards. There's a lot of functionality on Award Explorer, so definitely take a look at that and you can read through and see what you might be eligible for and plan out what you might want to apply for. So for Daniels Awards, these are specific to students registered in the Daniels faculty. We have a handful of different awards. So we have admission awards, there's in-course awards, there's travel grants and awards, and then there are graduating awards. Um, there are awards available for both merit-based and financial need-based. Most of them do not need applications, but if applications are required, students will receive a call for applications via their UToronto email account. That is always how we will share information about that. So we will send a call for applications out with all the instructions and details about what you need to submit and of course deadlines. And we just listed our website down here where you can see a full list of graduate awards available for students at the Daniels faculty. So now in terms of grant funding, this is open to students who are in financial need. So again, typically we expect that students have applied for other sources of funding, whether it's through OSAP or other province student loans or First Nation funding. We expect that students will have utilized those resources first, but in cases of exceptional need, this grant application is also open to students who might need a little bit more support. So completed grant applications are submitted to our office, and the deadlines typically fall by November for the fall session and by March for the winter session. And students can also schedule an appointment with myself to discuss their completed application. If there's anything you want to clarify, or if you ever have any questions about it, that's what I am here for. So never hesitate to reach out. And the online application will be available in the fall. And again, we'll typically email students once that application opens up. Okay, so now getting into employment. We strongly encourage students to work throughout the summer prior to starting the new academic year because it's an excellent way to help fund your studies. And also, if you're applying for a government student loans or grant funding, it is expected that you are trying to work during the summer. If you're unable to find work during the summer, be sure to keep a log of your search efforts because there are different appeals that you can submit, specifically for OSAP, where if you can show that you made an effort throughout the summer to secure to secure employment, you might be able to submit an appeal for that. And part-time employment during the academic year is also encouraged, whether it's through the work-study program or teaching assistantships, or even research assistantships. So you could consider working maybe 10 or 12 hours a week or fewer so that you have time, of course, for your schoolwork and other activities. And the university offers some on-campus employment opportunities through the work-study program. So that is definitely another great place to check for opportunities. And again, we have our website here where you can review a little bit more information about that. And on that website, you'll also be directed to other links where you can look at other employment opportunities at U of T. So another option for students is to apply for a student line of credit. So this could be an alternative option if government student funding is either insufficient or if it's not available. Just keep in mind that typically students will need a cosigner with excellent Canadian credit history, and typically repayment is expected 6 to 12 months after leaving full-time studies. This is something that you would apply for through your bank or financial institution, so the terms may vary, but this is another option that students sometimes opt for if they need a little bit more financial support. So just a few other sources of funding I wanted to quickly mention. There are always external scholarships and awards. We've listed a few websites here. You can check out canlearn.ca to review anything offered by the National Student Loan Service Center. There's also loan funding for international students through an external company called Empower Financing. The University of Toronto is one of their approved schools. So this is something that international students might want to consider looking into. And then you're also encouraged to review any other community resources that might be available to you, just depending on where you are. And we just listed a few examples here. And financial aid counseling is also available to all graduate students. We can assist with financial management, including budgeting and just providing information about the various government assistance programs, scholarships, and grants. So if you ever have any questions about anything to do with finances, scholarships, awards, loans, we are here for you, and you are welcome to contact our office either via phone or via email, and we can set up an appointment to meet and discuss a little bit further. And there's also financial aid, counseling and advising available to you through the School of Graduate Studies. So we've also included their information here as well if you ever want to reach out to their department directly. So that sums up this presentation. If you do have any questions, we have our contact information here. So we're located in room 100 at 1 Spadina Crescent. You can contact me directly at awards@daniels.utoronto.ca or registrar@daniels.utoronto.ca. Thanks so much.